participate at this public meeting, please let us know and we'll try to accommodate you. Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item number 3, roll call.
Councilmember LaFever.
Here.
Councilmember Clark. Here. Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Crum.
Here.
Voting Mayor Fudge.
Here. Agenda item number 4 is to approve tonight's agenda.
Item number 23, I wanted to remove that. I thought we were going to be ready to discuss that tonight, and we're not, so I wanted to remove that from the agenda.
Any other comments or thoughts on tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve it.
Minus agenda item 22?
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, 23?
23.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on approving tonight's agenda minus agenda item 23, discuss swimming pool operations. Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
And I approve as well too. Tonight's agenda has been approved. Agenda item number 5 is approved consent agenda. That's the minutes of the July 22nd regular city council meeting, set date of Monday, August 19th, 2013 at 7 p.m. for the regular city council meeting. Approved claims register and cash report. Approved building permits for Michelle Carson, 317 East 1st Street, replacement of a room that was torn off due to sinking.
My only question was regarding that room placement. It's not as a match. Is it the problem? My question was regarding the drawing for the building permit. It looks like it goes right up to the property line, even over a little bit. But is that the case? Was this building already?
I don't think Jason's here, but he did sign off on it, so my assumption is it's the setback from the property line are appropriate.
That was the one question I had.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't make it any bigger. She just made it the same size, yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
I approve as well too. Tonight's consent agenda has been approved. Agenda item number 6 is discuss resignation of R.C. Android. He sent us a resignation letter. It is dated July 28th, 2013 to the city of Logan. I am giving my 2-week notice today. My last day of work will be August 9, 2013. I have accepted a position as the Public Works Superintendent in Woodbine. I'll remain your pool operator through the end of the 2013 season. R.C. Android. I already had a chance to talk to R.C. Before I came in tonight, and hadn't had a chance until then. But personally, I and the city want to thank you for your time and your devotion and contributions to the city of Logan and to the swimming pool as well. Understand this is an opportunity for you, and we wish you all the best. hate to see you go, wish you weren't going, but, you know, opportunity knocks. So, you know, on behalf of the city of Logan, we wish you the best. Scott, do you want to talk about replacing RC? Big shoes to fill.
I want to congratulate RC on his new position. That'll be a good move for him, and hate to see him go, and told him that any help he needed from me or Boone, either one, we'd be willing to do that. So he knows our phone number, so we wish him the best too. As far as replacement, I think we've already received a few applications. Word of mouth got around pretty fast, and in the paper, Missouri Valley paper will be in the Logan paper this week. Hopefully we'll find somebody good. I would like to see us be prepared to interview possibly the last week in August, so we can have somebody to present to you the first meeting in September, and we can maybe have somebody on board by the middle of September, so we can have a little training period before snow and several other things and my vacation. So I see you have in here about possible pay scale. I don't remember, Vicki, what was on that, 11 to 15, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, I believe so. I was kind of hoping with what Boone makes and everything that we could be in that 13 to 13 and a half range. Hopefully we could attract some pretty good applicants at that rate. And then what they, you know, raise after a 6-month probation would help them out. Why? That's where I'm looking at. I mean, that's something for you guys to decide, but I know we had 11 to 15, which is a pretty good range there, so we got a little room to play. So I would also like to have you think about, normally when this happens, we did it with RC. Boone will step up to be the equipment maintenance supervisor. I usually like to see them get a little bit of a increase in pay. That puts a little more responsibility onto them. I think we're usually in that 50-cent range or something an hour for that. He will basically, like RC, took care of all the equipment, making sure everything was serviced, any repairs that needed to be done. He did all the pricing on any new equipment, used equipment, looking for what we need, does all the pre-sale filters and things like that. So that'll be some more responsibility for Boone, and he's said he could handle, would accept that, so, and can handle it. So I'd like to see that happen too. So we'll see what we can find out there. So thank you.
Question for you, Scott. With the backup for, you know, when you're gone, you talked about the water, you've been the pool administrator. Do we have a plan for?
Yeah, I've talked with Vicki and them. That's probably something we will talk about in the interviews, that we would like to see them get their CPO license. Talk to Ray about it actually today. That way we're covered. And
how long does that take?
I think you just have to go, what is that, a 3-hour, 6-hour class or something they have to go to, all-day class, and then they have to take a test. So it's not a long, drawn-out thing. And in fact, I talked to Peterson there from Aqua Camera the other day, and he said they have one coming up in November, so we can maybe get somebody into that by then. And hopefully we can get somebody, young, energetic guy, and we will get them going on getting certified in their water and wastewater, because as of now, I'm the only certified operator. So.
And what does that entail?
That's a more drawn out deal. So there's some time involved. I think after 1 year on the job, they qualify to take grade 1s and their lagoon license, and then I think they have to have 3 years on the job experience before they can go get their grade 2s. And we're qualified as a grade 2 water treatment plant and distribution, and then be only one test for wastewater, just lagoon 1. So that would entitle actually five different exams that they would have to pass to get what they need. So it would take 3-4 years to do all that. But But that's something we need to do because I'm not gonna be here forever, so. Anything else?
Any other questions on any of that? I believe that was agenda item 6 and 7. 7 was discussed. Well, I guess we still need to do 7. Discuss and approve job description and pay wage for maintenance assistant. Is that for advertising then, or have we already advertised? We're already advertised? Okay, all right. Okay. So are we okay with handing out the job description that is in front of us here with that pay range when applicants come in and ask for a job description?
Yeah, Scott, did you see any changes that needed to be made to this?
Did we add that possible CPO in there? Vicky, I don't remember, I guess I'll have some. We did, okay, yeah, then. I'm
Full
glad for that.
operation. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve this job description to be handed out for replacement utility superintendent replacing RC.
Okay. Do you have a second?
That includes the pay scale too, right?
Right.
13, 13 and a half.
Well, the pay range is actually 11 to 15 per hour in there.
Right, you just,
But he's-
We're trying to hit in on the 13 to 13.50, but the wider range is in there, which that fits into.
I'll
I'd like to
second.
recommend, yeah, that's what we have on here.
You have a second? Or a second? I'm sorry. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Crum.
Aye.
I approve as well, so. Agenda item number 7 has been approved. Agenda item number 8, discuss resignation of Jason Roden, Building Inspector and Planning and Zoning Administrator. This letter was addressed to the City of Logan, sent to the council members and Vicki and Marilyn. This is my notification that I am resigning my position as Building Inspector effective August 23rd, 2013. As you are aware, my wife and I have 4 young children. We're becoming busier with the kids and their activities. We are making adjustments to accommodate their schedules, and my resignation is one of the adjustments. Thank you for the opportunity of working for the city. Sincerely, Jason Roden. I don't think Jason is here tonight. And off the top of my head, I don't remember how long he's worked for us, but I know it's been several years, if not approaching 4 or 5 years. Again, Jason has been a tremendous asset to our community and has done just, I think, a really good job in enforcing our building and city codes. And again, he's going to be missed as well, but understand having many kids and the schedules and trying to arrange all those and keeping everything going. So again, we wish he and his family the best of luck as well, but we thank him for his service to the city too.
So we need to approve, we want to approve the ad as well. Like we did.
Right, so we'll go to agenda item number 9, which is discuss and approve job description and pay wage for building inspector.
He's not here to check on this, but this looks to be general enough that it fits what he's been doing.
I believe this is what we used to hire him, so.
I'll make a motion that we would use the printed out building inspector ad as a job description for Jason's job.
I'll second it.
The only other comment I would make, and I'm looking at it here for the second time,
It has a date in it.
yeah, we need to
I
make the date appropriate
Yeah.
here.
assume we update that, but
Secondly, I know that this is wanted for a building inspector. There is not any mention in here of planning and zoning administrator. I did look that up today, and the planning and zoning administrator is appointed by the mayor. So when we have a special election and we have a mayor, at that time when we hire somebody, if we deem them to be the administrator, we can certainly appoint at that time.
but it's not mandatory that it's that person. Did you see anything about that?
I don't think it is mandatory
No,
that it's
no.
that person. It could be two separate people, is how I read that. Traditionally, it's been, but that doesn't mean that it has to be. Any further questions or comments? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
I approve as well. Agenda item number 10 is discuss and approve American Red Cross Shelter Agreement as compared to the Memorandum of Understanding with HCHPH. And I think we had this on the last agenda, we just didn't have, we had discussed, we didn't have consider and or approve.
Did anybody hear back from Aaron on his review for that? Did he send something to jointly, maybe I missed when I was
He
out?
did.
Okay.
He actually did.
Good.
And what he said was, if you look at the American Red Cross, and if you look at terms and conditions, number 1, it's on page of 3 and 4. It's on page 3 of 4. In the facts that we have, copy of the facts. It says use of facility.
Okay.
Upon request and if feasible, the owner will permit the Red Cross to use facility on a temporary basis as an emergency public shelter. So he felt fine entering into this agreement because it said if feasible.
So HDSC would be top,
Right,
then Red Cross.
right. That's how, yes, because I always get this wrong, HCHPH says, yeah, you will provide. And this says if feasible. And then the only other comment he made is that potentially if they don't use the whole hall, then maybe they could share the hall or something. But he says, as long as it says if feasible, then he felt comfortable.
And this may not be the right, it's out of order on our agenda items here, but then we also have the WIC agreement that's come in since then that lists the whole calendar of dates. And again, in my mind, they ticked off Harrison County, then Red Cross, then WIC, but that was just the way I reviewed them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've settled the first two. We know what standing they'll take. Anybody have an opinion on the way that WIC agreement looked?
We can't hear your mic. I don't know if it's on or not.
Is that good? Can you hear now? Any better? All right.
Did you have a comment, Nick? Were you?
It appears the WIC clinic is just a clinic, right? So I'm thinking if there's a disaster or something that deems necessary for either of the other two organizations to use the hall, it makes sense they could probably postpone the WIC clinic.
Yeah, I don't see anything in there, Nick, that would go against what you said.
My concern is that I don't see that language that we saw on the other one where it says if feasible or anything. It just says the landlord will. I mean, not might or may or could if they wanted to. It's pretty drawn out regarding the dates. That's what they're proposing we approve, and I would think we would be.
Could we go ahead and approve it and let them know kind of where they fall in pecking order? At least have the conversation with them about that. Harrison County Home and Public Health, American Red Cross, and then for disaster purposes, and then them.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. So I'm like Nick, I don't think if there's a disaster that, one day or another, that they're gonna care whether they have a clinic, because if there's a disaster, may not be able to have a clinic, so I'd say go ahead.
I agree. I think you're probably right. I would just like to see it in the agreement, not get caught up on the, on this agreement that we're gonna sign. If it was just we were talking to him on the phone and doing a gentleman's agreement or something like that, I would totally agree. But being that they're wanting us to put it down in writing and sign it and be obligated to it, I'd like to look it over, and that's just my opinion.
So is there a motion from somebody?
I make a motion that we approve the first two, that we approve the agreement for Harrison County, and then we approve the one for the Red Cross. I'd like to set this one aside for one more meeting, the WIC one.
So approve the Harrison County and the American Red Cross.
Correct.
And then the WIC agreement, WIC agreement, hold off and table that
Yes.
until the next council meeting, put it on
So we
there.
can get it reviewed.
She's asking if the Red Cross is already approved.
It was approved last year. We were just using.
Okay.
We were just referencing as those agreements that Harrison County's, wait, okay. I'll remake that motion that we approve the Harrison County agreement.
So this is agenda item number 10, so we'll put that on there. We've already approved the Red Cross. And so we will approve the memorandum of understanding with HCHPH. We have a motion on the table for that. Any other comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
I approve as well. Agenda item number 11 is discuss and approve the WIC or WIC agreement for the use of the community building October 2013 to October 2014.
My motion, my recommendation is that we have that reviewed before we enter into that agreement.
And is your motion, Skip, to have it reviewed, to put language in there relative to the Red Cross and the HCHPH?
Not necessarily, depending on how the review comes out. At this point, I'm just saying table it, no motion, just, or I guess we can motion the tabling, but
Okay.
yeah, we don't vote on it until we've had it reviewed.
Well, we do have a motion. Skip did make a motion, so I'll go with that. And is there a second on that motion?
What are we gonna do for the review? Are we just gonna call them and verify with them? Is that what we're planning to do?
I was thinking the attorney, give it to me, Aaron to review the legal standing, just like we did with the WIC. I mean, just like we did with the Harrison County and the Red Cross.
I guess my question is, can we just call WIC and say, hey, if there's just lay it out to them and see if they're willing to change their verbiage in their agreement or whatever. And I guess discuss it with them first and see if they're okay with the order that we're kind of putting these in with them in the back. I still don't feel that people if it happens on the day that there's a WIC clinic, I don't think that the people that are attending the WIC clinic are gonna have a hard time waiting an extra day for their WIC checks. I guess that's how I feel about it.
I'm okay with that approach. I'm okay with going to them and see if, where they, if this agreement would be written a little different and come out a different way. Don't necessarily have to go to Aaron if they'll change it. But the way it's written, I think we would need to have something reviewed or looked at. It's good practice. Any agreement contract we sign into to have them looked at. That's my feeling.
Dee, you have a comment?
They are very easy to work with.
Here.
The people at work are very easy to work with. Sometimes she calls and needs to switch dates, but always checks to see if we have anything going on. And, if we have something happening over the weekend, they'll get out here earlier for us. So they're very sensitive to our schedule.
Pretty much answers the question of flexibility.
Yeah, yeah. And they need to change dates sometimes, and, we just work with them. They may change weeks or whatever, but they're very easy to work with, so.
If that's the case, I think we should go ahead and approve the agreement. I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement between WIC and Use the Community Building between October 2013 and 2014.
I'll second that motion.
First, what I'd say is, Skip, you made a motion and it failed to secure a second. And so we'll go ahead and we entertained another motion and we got a second on that as well. So is there any further comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Nay.
Crum?
Aye.
And I vote as well, yea. Agenda item number 11 was approved. Agenda item 12, discuss and approve applying for a city credit card at Great Western Bank in Missouri Valley. Community Bank in Logan will not issue credit cards. First National Bank in Logan only has debit cards. Midstate Bank in Missouri Valley does not offer applications for credit cards. American National Bank in Missouri Valley requires the city to have an account there. And Farmers Trust and Savings and Woodbine goes through the First National Bank of Omaha, and cards are issued by First Bank Card. So Vicki, is it your recommendation to go with Great Western Bank in Missouri Valley? Okay. She said yes.
Did I see an application or just this informational piece? Is that the two-sided piece? Is that
There is an app in there as well on the last page.
I thought I saw one. All right. Credit cards are obviously something that need to be managed closely. Do we have a plan, or anybody have any comments about who's going to have it, who's going to use it, how we're going to have a accounting process, a two-person co-signature, something like we have with the cash and checks? Are all those safeguards, do they be retained?
Yeah, so that's something that we, as a council, can decide. You know, credit limit, predetermined spending limits. What you can do is have multiple cards for multiple employees. Obviously, we're pretty small here, so we probably just have one card would be my guess. But I know that Susie Bonham was here at the last meeting. She talked about the county having them, and it's a great way to, you know, the folks that do spend and have responsibility for doing that, keeping track of it, great itemized reports coming out of that of what you're spending and what you're spending it on. And there's great controls as long as you set it up appropriately. It's worked out well for them.
You mentioned you mentioned spending limits.
It's right on the first page here. Business Visa card.
Right.
It's into, you know, business, well, predetermined spending limits, authorized control spending at point of sale, allow or restrict cash access, expense management. You kind of set it up. There's, as you go through kind of a laundry list of how you want your program to work.
Do we have a recommendation of how we want to set it up? And do we have punched any numbers or?
I would actually recommend that we, you know, a person or two from the council.
Say that again?
A person or two from the council would go and sit down with the bank and actually have a conversation about how to appropriately set this up. And we should move forward. Take Vicki as well. I mean, two of us, maybe you and Vicki, and go down and set the program up and who's authorized and spending limits to start with and all that.
Then bring something back to vote on. Yep. I like that.
Are we okay with, are we okay with a financial institution that Vicki's recommending, still in the county?
One credit card's about as good as another one, so. I make a motion to go ahead and get the credit card from the Great Western Bank in Missouri Valley.
I'll second it.
So a motion and a second to go down and enter into an agreement. Again, the council will be represented as well to ensure that it's set up appropriately with appropriate controls and access and limits. Are there, before we take a vote on this, is there a person or two that would volunteer to do that? I'll do it.
Thanks.
Okay. So Skip and I will find a time with you, Vicki, to go down and have conversations. Any other comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
And I vote positive as well. Agenda item number 13, discuss and approve bids received for an aluminum or steel flatbed for city pickup to put sprayer on. Scott?
At the last meeting, we discussed the difference between the aluminum, so we did get another bid from Badger Body on an aluminum box, and it's about $400 higher than their steel box. In the meantime, RC talked to all three of the companies that he got bids from, and none of them could tell him whether the aluminum was going to hold up better than the steel with the salt brine or anything else. And I also talked to a few people that said the aluminum boxes, sometimes the welds don't hold up as good as a steel box. So now we backtracked to the steel box, and we had two bids on them, and RC checked with them, and the Badger Body is the one that we would like to go with. It's the one for $33.05. One of the reasons, it's just like a short $100 higher than Powfleet, but it has a gooseneck platform, which means we could install a gooseneck fifth wheel ball very easily in that, and we do have access to a gooseneck trailer if we would need one for an emergency situation. He also talked to him about the paint scheme. I believe Badger said that they dipped their boxes like 12 times in a bath of paint or primer or whatever. So that's going to have a lot better coat on it than Powfleet said theirs were just primed and painted. So I think we would be better off to go with the steel bid from Badger Body for $33.05. That's my recommendations.
So the three bids came in, as Scott said, Badger Body came in at $33.05. Big Rig Truck and Accessories came in at $33.45.06. Powell Fleet came in at $32.25. Scott explaining why he would recommend going with Badger.
One color, as long as it's black.
So another, we will have the old box that we can either scrap or possibly sell. Somebody might want to make a trailer out of it or something. We would have that. And then the black pickup, I would suggest that we just put it out to sealed bids and sell it. We can recoup, maybe $300, $400, $500, whatever with that. So we can get some of our money back. And that bid is all installed, lights, ditches, everything. It'll be ready to go down the road when we get back, so.
When might that be?
They said 4 weeks. Once we order it, it'd be 4 weeks before they would have it ready to install. 6 weeks maximum, which is plenty of time.
They want 25% down.
Yeah, it's 25% down to get the process started, so.
It says that on the.
Yeah, right at the top.
It does,
Yeah.
25% deposit.
As long as Scott's recommended it, and they're the ones using it, I'd say go with the steel body from Badger.
Find out that the aluminum wouldn't hold up, but yeah, that brine must eat away anything and everything. So,
I think the only way we get away with that is fuel stainless, and we don't want to price it.
No.
But it'll last longer than the pickup, put it that way, the box will. So it's not like it's gonna be shot in 2 or 3 years. You're probably looking at 15, 20 years before it would be shot. We're really good about every time we spray, when we're done, it's all power washed and washed off every time, so that saves on an awful lot. So it'll last worth the money, let's put it that way.
I make a motion that we go with Badger Body steel flatbed and for the $33.05.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to go with Badger Body for $33.05. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
And I approve as well too. Agenda item 14 is discuss and approve a police department work schedule. This is something that we talked about a bit in our last meeting in terms of the stipend and work schedule. What I would like to do, make a proposal, is just, we have a special election coming up in 7 or 8 days here, a week from tomorrow. And I guess what I would recommend is we table this, put this on hold, and have the mayor come in, the police chief reports to the mayor, and kind of how they want to run the department, and make some recommendations to the council, is what I would look to propose here. I don't know if anybody else has any comments. What we talked about, because Skip, you weren't here, what we talked about on this is that the police department today, as it stands with their shifts that they work every 2 weeks, they work 70 hours, and we were potentially looking at an 80-hour two-week work schedule versus a 70-hour two-week work schedule, if I can talk.
Again, coming in late on this, I thought that was more than covered with an absence of an officer in the mix. I know the hours I talked to Elmer, but I've also talked to Kyle and the predecessors that have been on the department about that, and at the time it seemed like there was plenty of call time and plenty of time that they were taking up in place of the missing officer. So I guess I'm confused where that recommendation came from, or where the concern stems from with what passed last meeting and what the work schedule is trying to accomplish.
Well, so let's be clear, what passed last meeting was the stipend, and the stipend $425 and $375, I believe, for Kyle and for Justin. And that was to take the additional time from going from 3 to 2 officers and on call during the day. They worked their shifts at night. What Denny and I were talking about a bit was looking at potentially a schedule where they would come in a bit earlier in the afternoon and work maybe just a little later to get 80 hours in. We've had some requests from City Hall here from these ladies maybe having somebody on call before they left for the day, or on duty, I guess, not on call, but on duty before they left for the day to take care of some things. So we were talking about that and looking at the schedule. Something else we talked about too was exploring, utilizing, and we do this every 3 or 4 years, the county sheriff's office that's right here in town, and how maybe they could assist us during the day with call. I think we all get concerned sometimes when we've been short a lot, an officer, it seems like, burning them out and having them, burning the candle on both ends. And so I think there's a lot of things we can explore, and we just started having those conversations last meeting. The only thing we really approved was the stipend at that point. Yeah. Okay, we'll table that. We'll put that. We'll let that come back with the new mayor. Agenda item 15: discuss and approve cell phone allowance of $35 to $40 paid through payroll. This was for the police department, and this is for Justin and Kyle. And we tabled this until we had a chance to visit with them to see if that seemed fair to them. They're going to use their personal ones. They will not be issued city-owned cell phones. I had a chance to visit with both of them, and they thought that the $35 to $40 range was more than fair.
And for the city ones that the other workers have.
That is correct.
The city cell phones.
So this request was coming from the 2 officers, and we came up with a $35 to $40. We ran that by them to make sure that was fair, and I think they felt that was fair.
I make a motion that we allow cell phone allowance of $35 to $40 paid through payroll to our officers.
You probably should put one of the dollars, whichever. Yeah.
40.
I think that's fair.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve a cell phone allowance for our 2 police officers of $40 a month, and that would be paid through payroll. Not a reimbursement, but paid through payroll. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
And I approve as well. Agenda item 16, discuss and approve resolution 13-18, a resolution to adopt investigative file request form. This form is allowed under Iowa Code section 22.2 and 22.3. The investigative file request form will address methods and fees associated with requests made for information.
This form was presented to us by the attorney, and something that we recommended that we started using, not only just so we have a set fee, but that we can keep better records of what people are asking for and being able to give it to them. And it comes with the invoice statement, and it asks what you're looking for, and it states right up front what you will be paying.
I can't remember what city Aaron got this from. It was Council Bluffs or Des Moines or where it was, but I like the compliance piece on the end too, the second part where after you get it back, you kind of get to fill in and check mark that the city's done. So we'll know if we finish these when we look back and did we get them all in. I know we've had times where we weren't sure whether we got them all filled and everything was answered.
I would point out that there is one mistake on this form. When you go to the, well, I guess it's the second page of the form, invoice statement, you go down and the first, first copy I believe is $10, and then it's 25 cents a copy after that.
Zero.
Yeah.
That too. Oh. 2.5.
Yeah, 25 cents versus 0.
Was it 50 on the Am I reading that correctly?
Oh, it is.
Does it say 50 on the?
You did, and this one said 25 on the back sheet here, so we have to determine 25 or 50.
Maybe that opinion.
What do we do?
25 in the past. I don't think that's.
I was going to ask, what do we do today? 25. So what the states is there will be a minimum service fee of $10 for the first and or any single copy. Subsequent pages will be billed at the rate of 25 cents per single-sided page. So we'll change that to 25 cents on the first page and then 25 cents on the second page, this statement or invoice.
I think it's a good idea that we have this. We've got so many people asking for so much stuff nowadays that this way we can get it in writing, that what they're asking for and when they can get it back and that sort of thing. So I think it'd be a good idea. Oh, okay. I make a resolution to adopt the investigating file request form.
You want to make a motion, I think.
Yeah.
I made a motion to approve the resolution to adopt the investigative file request form.
Yes.
Resolution 13-18. Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 13-18. I'll read it. City of Logan, resolution number 13-18, a resolution to adopt investigative file request form. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Logan, Iowa, Section 1, the investigative file request form is allowed under Iowa Code, Section 22.2 and 22.3. The investigative file request form will address methods and fees associated with requests made to the City of Logan for information. A copy of the investigative file request form is attached as Addendum A. Section 2, The city clerk is hereby directed to publish this resolution number 13-18 passed this day of August 2013 and approved on this day of August 2013. Any further comments or questions? So we have a motion and a second to approve with the addition of the 25 cents, making that consistent throughout this document. The additional copies. Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Crum?
Aye.
And I approve as well. Agenda item 17, discuss and approve bonuses for pool employees. For qualified employees, recommended bonus amount to be 25 cents for each hour worked and to be paid on September 3rd, 2013. Ray, are you going to talk about this? Or?
I don't have all the information. The manager is going to give us the, we did this, geez, last
You want
year?
to come up, Ray?
No.
Get on the microphone, please.
I got to be on camera?
You can delete yourself out.
All right. I can edit.
Watch that. Short after.
Yes, check. We started this last year. I think we had a great year last year, and things were going. And so I think, I know Marilyn and I did, talked about it last year, and Vicki and I talked about it already. And Carrie's going to give us a list of all the people. And some of the ground rules are they have to finish the whole season. Okay, they can't quit yesterday to do that. And like I said, last year was just awesome. So did you have it out figured out kind of? The hours, okay. And we don't have any hours. The pool closes the 18th, and so we'll get that. But we'd just like to get that on there and like to continue that. It's fun working with all the kids and keeping them going. So, all right.
Is that in the pool manual? Do we have that like formalized in any way?
Don't think so. No, I can do that.
Plan?
He was asking about if that was in there formally in the packet. I think we just started that last year as a board. We started that, but I know Dee and Nick are the committee members. We can talk about that. I'd be glad to write anything up you want. Okay.
Thanks, Ray.
That's a good question.
Nick or Dee, any comments or
No, I think we
thoughts?
need to sit down and discuss it, you know.
I think we're gonna need to sit down and discuss it with Ray and the managers and see what we come up with.
So you'd have a recommendation coming back to the council then, the next council meeting, which would be on the 19th?
Well, that'd be soon. Well, yeah, I guess we could. I just don't know the hours by then. You know, I probably won't know the numbers.
But it would be,
But we could at least talk about it.
Do you wanna wait till the first meeting in
Yeah,
September?
they'd give me another, you know, that way I could come back and tell you all the hours and Carrie have everything all written out for us,
Okay,
if we could.
all right.
Okay. Yeah.
the pool would only be closed one day at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Close the 18th and then we
Right.
can, yeah.
One day.
Any other comments or questions on that? All right. We'll wait till you get back to us, Ray.
Okay.
Agenda item 18 is discuss and approve training costs through Data Tech for the city clerk. Data Tech is our computer programmers.
Yeah, Vicki and I have talked about that. That was basically additional computer training that you were looking to get so that we didn't have to necessarily lean on Maryland so much on some of that we know we have training for in place. So I think that's the purpose of that request. They've been in before and helped out.
So do we have kind of a schedule, you know, what the training is and the expense? Or you're hoping to? We don't have the schedule, kind of the training or the expense of that as well too, so let's put that on the next agenda. We'll get it out there and get it approved for you to go through that. Agenda item 19 is discuss and approve request for use of the community building for individual benefits. City Hall has been approached by 2 different individuals requesting this service. The individuals asking wanted to use the facility free of charge. We have no history or established fees or deposits for this type of event.
What's the protocol right now? Is $20 an hour and events, there's a minimum charge, or?
We have for nonprofit use, but we don't have anything for individuals type.
So like a wig, American Red Cross, a blood drive, they come.
Right.
Okay.
We do have a fee schedule, right? And what does that say? $20 an hour?
That's what I read.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I
So-
thought there was a fee already.
Right.
It's getting paid.
So is the question then, are these entities identifiable as nonprofit or for-profit, or like we consider a wedding, or, you know, I mean, is that what we're asking? Is that kind of the question?
They're fundraisers for individuals. The 2 that we're talking about right now have been with medical fundraisers that they want to do, and they're just asking, instead of having to pay a fee, that they want that waived, more or less as a donation on the part of the city because it is a benefit. But, yeah.
So we have a history of doing that on occasion. I know Harrison County Development, we've waived it for them in the past. I'm trying to think of who else we might have waived that expense for. It may be the only one that I can think of.
Is the fee schedule in here? Do you have it?
While she's getting that, I mean, my thought is I think we need to probably look at them on a case-by-case basis. I think that's the way they've come to us in the past. If there's a fundraiser type event you know, for a medical need, I don't know what specifically they are.
I don't either.
The MS.
I just don't want to put these 2 in harm's way where they're
Right,
saying,
having to make calls.
make calls all day, every day, and really putting themselves in a bad position. So maybe the more we could standardize it, the better. But let's look and see kind of what it is. It's been a while since I personally looked at it. How about if we go to agenda item 20 and give Vicki some time?